Welcome, everybody, to the weekly CFL Pick'em Show. We are Week 17 on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, brought to you by Replenishing Care and Technologies, MyBookie.ag, and Power Plus Mouthguards. I'm your host for the CFL Pick'em Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my co-host. First up, we've got Oz Davis.
Howdy, folks.
That's all you guys. Howdy, folks. You usually have a long diatribe, but all right. Next up, we've got, of course, Brian Schmidt.
I don't have a long diatribe either.
But that was longer than howdy, folks. And last but certainly not least, former Syracuse Orangeman and four-time Grey Cup winner, Robert Drummond. How you doing, Robert?
Pretty good. How's it going? I'm definitely glad to be here, and I just want to be longer than those guys.
That was definitely longer than the other guys. So Robert won the long introduction one here. Let's start off with a game that it didn't so much surprise me who won the game, but how they dominated the game. Jeremiah Masoli basically picked his spots, passed for over 300 yards. Hamilton shocked Winnipeg 30-13. The Tiger Cats keep their slim playoff hopes alive in the East. Robert, I think we got to admit that this Tiger Cat team, as unreal as it would have seemed 6 weeks ago, they're a pretty good football team now.
The Tiger Cats are playing as like a wounded animal. Masoli had a great game. He played. He played the technical game that you have to play as a quarterback to win the game. I think it was more so a wake-up call for Winnipeg, who's one of the more stronger teams, I think, in the Western Conference. But, good for Hamilton. It signifies what they can do going into next year because, come on now, we know the team is playing for position spots and how they're going to look going into next year.
Yeah, and I think the wounded animal analogy that Robert used there is a very good one in this case, Schmitty. I think that Winnipeg, let's face it, Winnipeg didn't have to have this game. Hamilton had to have this game to have any chance, even though it's a slim chance. And I think that had a lot to do with why we got the result we got.
Yeah, they came out and exactly played like that. But whether they make the playoffs or not, this is going to be an interesting team next year. With June Jones and everything that they're doing, you can see as you watch them from the time he took over to now, you can see the transformation of this team from what we saw early in the year, which was pretty pathetic.
Yeah, I think pathetic would be a nice word for it. So speaking of pathetic, we'll now talk to the Montreal Alouettes fan, Oz Davis.
Thanks.
Oz, at least I didn't say you were pathetic. I just said your team was. So what was your take on this game? Does this tell us more about Hamilton or more about Winnipeg?
Well, for one thing, you can't say enough about Masoli. In the past 2-3 weeks, this guy has gone from like a punchline to a dude who was almost good enough to get Zach Collaros traded. Now, they just announced today that they weren't going to trade Collaros, but isn't that interesting considering what we thought of him at the beginning of the year? He was short punting in this game. He was taking direct snaps and running the ball. It was great. This is a totally different Collaros. That was the main thing for me. For Winnipeg, it was like exactly what you said. They've got a couple of games on third place. They're a couple of games behind first place. So, not much to play for here. I don't think Winnipeg is too concerned. I think Hamilton is very happy, but I think that happiness could be short-lived. They got Calgary this week, and Calgary doesn't have off weeks like that.
Yeah, Calgary ends happiness real quick if you're the other team.
Yeah.
But start of the season, I think there was no doubt the first month of the season, Saskatchewan and Hamilton were the jokes of the league. I don't think there's any doubt now that they are no longer the jokes of the league, and the Rough Riders proved it again by beating Toronto in Toronto 27-24. Brandon Bridge played a great game, Brian. He's been replacing Kevin Glenn, and he looked really good.
Yeah, this was one of those that, talked about last week. I really thought Saskatchewan would win this game, and they look like a team that is going to be interesting in the playoffs. Not necessarily a team that maybe I'm going to pick to get to the Grey Cup, but this team is a dangerous team because they're playing dangerous and they're playing with that high level of confidence, and that's what you want to have. So, great game for them and a very interesting situation this sets up going forward.
Yeah, and we'll go to Robert, former Argonaut. I mean, what was your take on Toronto in this game? James Wilder played good, 13 carries, 72 yards. Ricky Ray played well, just not well enough to win. But I still think this team could, I still think they're probably going to win the East, and I think they could win a game in the playoffs.
I think Toronto's a good team. They could, like you said, could possibly win a game in the playoffs. But you look at Saskatchewan, and it's like you say. So I go back to a Saskatchewan team. We played in the Grey Cup in 1990. What was it? It was 98. The second year, where it was a team that had to struggle to beat Calgary, had to struggle to beat Edmonton. They had Reggie Slack at quarterback. They had Michael Saunders. Sean Daniels. Donald Narcisse. They're a complement of talented players, but they weren't a great team. But they found a way to get grit and get to the playoffs. So this Saskatchewan team, don't count them out. They know how to win. They're a good team. They understand one another. They're winning games. We need to win games. So they're a team I would definitely keep an eye on. Calgary's the most dominant team in the CFL. Let's just get that clear. But this Saskatchewan team, they impressed me. They really, really impressed me.
Well, how about this, Oz? I'll go with what Robert says there. Calgary is the most dominant team, but I think Saskatchewan is the scariest team.
I think, what I think? I'm going to take a bizarre opinion here, especially given the outcome of this game. But I'm going to say Toronto is the scariest team because I'll tell you what, this dude, James Wilder, is going to be the X factor in the playoffs. This dude can run and catch the ball. He's an Andrew Harris. He's a Robert Drummond out there.
Nah, he's not me. Let's.
He's not that good. Come on.
Nah. Not a social 1,000 guy. He's not there yet.
No way. Come on, Oz. You watch more CFL than that.
I'm just messing around.
He's played like 5 games.
Those games.
He's a damn good player, though. I get it. He's a hell of a player. I like him. I like him a lot.
This guy could dominate 2 games in the playoffs, and that's all they'll have to do. Toronto will have the home field for that Eastern Championship. All he has to do is have 2 great games. It's possible. Saskatchewan is going to have to play on the road twice, odds are. And that's a tough road.
Yeah, but also I think Saskatchewan's defense is much better than what it has been.
Well, that was the thing. They played this game perfectly. They were letting Ricky Ray get his completions, do his stuff, but they contained it. The biggest play of the game for Toronto was a 32-yarder, and most of that was yards after the catch by, guess who? James Wilder. That's it. And Saskatchewan really showed a nice maturity on defense there by doing that. It was bend, don't break, but, it was nice.
Yeah, but when you're running with your main weapon being James Wilder, I'll throw this to Robert. I mean, when you get to the playoffs with I don't think there's a huge threat at wide receiver on Toronto you got to worry about. Doesn't that make it easier to concentrate and maybe contain Wilder?
Much easier. Just stack more guys in the box, stop the run.
Yeah.
You have a great pass game, so Toronto's going to struggle.
Well, Green.
Yeah, so I think that's the problem in the end, though, Oz.
Well, yeah.
I think this is a team, if they pick up a couple playmakers on offense, could be really good next year if Ricky Ray can play another year like this. But I
next year.
think that there's not enough weapons there.
Well,
this year, no.
This has always been the thing, is that there's always been Ray to Green. Ray to SJ Green has worked all year. Okay, sometimes a lot of other stuff can work too, game to game. But that's the only thing that's worked all year. Now, with Wilder in there, that's 2 weapons. That's not a lot. But in
then your weapons are more one-dimensional because we can put guys in the box to take away him.
But here's
the wide receiver.
Here's the thing. You can shut 2 weapons down. Honestly, even when I played in Toronto with Flutie, it's like, we had Mazzotti we could go to. We had Mookie Mitchell we could go to. We had Mike Pinball Clemens we can go to. We had myself we could go to. So we had weapons all across the board. Toronto doesn't.
Yeah.
They have what?
Yeah.
2 weapons.
Yeah, I think you need at least a third weapon. You can spread the field and you can threaten every part of the field.
It's like we always say, you're not going to beat me with these 2 guys. You can beat me with anybody else. Let somebody else make a name for himself, but you won't beat me with these 2 guys. These 2 guys, and they will shut them down. Watch.
All right. I think that we've come to the point where Oz is wrong and Robert and I are right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Ottawa Red Blacks battled back from a 19-point deficit late in the third quarter to beat the BC Lions 30-25 at BC Place on Saturday. I'll go to Oz here first, since I haven't done that yet. Oz, Trevor Harris, 28 for 38, 3 touchdowns. He hadn't played in forever. This Red Black team is a team that I think is dangerous just because of him if they get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got 2 or 3 solid wide receivers there. I mean, Greg Ellington's played really well. He had 7 receptions for 149 yards.
I was hoping you were going to come to me for the negative side, because the thing about this game for me was that BC just choked all over it. I mean, you're winning by what do I have? I have it here. Less than 22 minutes remaining, 25-6. They're losing on special teams. They're losing on offense. They're losing on defense after that. In all 3 facets, they just rolled over. Now, yeah, Harris did impress, especially after the first quarter. First quarter, not so great, looked rusty, looked what we expected, the pessimists of us. But after that, yeah, it was great. And plus, the thing is, he did lead this comeback on offense. So yeah, of course Ottawa's dangerous. Ottawa's dangerous because we know so little about them, I think. They haven't been that consistent whole team at too many points this year. So we don't know what to expect from them going into the playoffs, if they make it.
So, Robert, your take on Ottawa, and the guy that stood out to me in this game was William Powell, 17 carries, 92 yards, makes Harris even more effective. What's your take on Ottawa and how big of a threat they are moving forward?
Welcome, Ottawa. The team that we thought all year. It's like a game like this where they go out there and not just come from behind and win a game, but prove to themselves that they're as good as they think. That's the one thing in football. If you can go out there and do things that prove that you're as good as you think you are, you have that confidence going into not just the next game, but the rest of the year. Ottawa's a good team. We knew Ottawa was a good team from the start of the year. They just had sporadic moments they played, up and down all year long. But this game really sets the tone for being late in the year, for them to prove themselves that they can come from behind and win games, and that's a dangerous team.
Yeah, and I think Oz, who doesn't think Trevor Harris is that good, is also wrong on that also. Trevor Harris is a man. Let's go to BC's quarterback, Jonathan Jennings. I think that we've learned over the last few weeks that this was more than just a problem with Jonathan Jennings forcing the ball, Brian. Jonathan Jennings, I think he's a gunslinger, but I think he has played a lot better over the last couple of weeks, and they're still not winning. So what's the problem in BC, Brian?
I think it's a little bit of what's around him, and I still don't think he's played better, but he's still, I think, got a ways to go to get to get. Oh yeah,
I do too. I'm just saying you're not seeing him throw it into triple coverage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think talent level around him, I think, it isn't where it needs to be, and I think when you continue to lose games, eventually it becomes a mindset, and I'm not so sure right now if they don't have a team that mindset isn't really having a whole lot of confidence right now. So, I think there's definitely a lot more of a problem here than just Jennings.
All right, that brings us to the next game, where a battle of 2 teams looking to snap long losing skids. The Edmonton Eskimos end up beating Montreal 42-24 to break their 6-game losing streak. The loss officially, Oz, knocked the Owls out of the playoff race and sent them to their 8th straight loss. We'll start with Oz here. Drew Willie's your quarterback. Oz.
Uh-oh.
I'm prepared.
Is Oz there?
I am here. Technical difficulties.
Okay, Oz, Drew Willie's your quarterback. Go.
Yeah. You made my brain malfunction when you said that. No, I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted to give props to Terrell Sutton, who went for 139 on 14 carries with a touchdown, and he's been a bright spot all season for us, and this has been a glum season. So Drew Willie being our quarterback is just about precise. I can't believe we have to do 2 or 3 more games of this, but there are a lot of quarterbacks coming to market next off-season. So that's what I'm looking at.
All right, so we'll go to Robert here. C.J. Gable. I think the arrival of C.J. Gable, 111 yards, 22 carries. Riley wasn't great. He was 13 for 29, but he threw a pick. I think this team is – they're a good team. They've got some solid receivers. You add C.J. Gable to this mix, though, and this is a team that I think could do some damage, Robert.
No, C.J. Gable's a newbie. It's a good game. Good consistent game. Riley did what he needed to do to win the game. But you know what? Let's call it like it is. Edmonton's been struggling the last 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, but Robert, as long as Mike Riley's there, they're dangerous.
I agree, but you know what? But it's not just so much about going out there and playing games. It has a lot to do with having confidence in yourself, and losing 6 games in a row is 5 games in a row. You don't have all the confidence in the world in yourself. It's just that's the one thing about football. It's not just about going out there and playing games. It's about believing how good you are. How good do you think Edmonton thinks they really are after losing 6 games?
I don't know, and the thing that concerned me was the fact that this was 23-21 at halftime.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but it was 15-0 after about 4 minutes.
Okay, I thought you already had your turn, Oz. Hey, Brian, what do you think about this game?
Just kicking that in.
I think, it was a good game for Edmonton to get off the schneid, but there's a perspective here, and that's who they were playing. So I think that as we go forward, we'll see just how much of a contender they are. Riley makes them a contender, an opportunity to get in the playoffs because of who he is. It's kind of like Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers or
New England with Tom Brady. Anytime you got any of those kind of guys, you got a chance.
But we'll just see where they're at here as we go forward, because it's hard to gauge when your opponent's Montreal. It really is hard to gauge.
Yeah, I think this next week will tell us a lot more when they have Toronto come to town. But we're going to go ahead and get to this week's games. Friday night, first game, 7 o'clock Eastern. We got the Calgary Stampeders at the Hamilton Ticats. Schmidt, who you got?
Really?
Calgary. Calgary.
I agree with Robert. I'm going to go with Calgary, and I'm not going to go, Robert.
Are you serious? Calgary.
Now, I do believe that Hamilton's playing well enough that they may be able to give them a little bit of a game, but in the end,
Calgary will beat them by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Calgary will beat them one way or the other. Oz?
Yes, easily.
So check this out, Mike. You remember before we had this line, you wrote a piece up today. It was 5 points. 5 points, Calgary.
Yeah, the line is 5 points.
Now it's 10.
Is it really?
Yeah, really. I don't.
Dang, everybody jumped on that quick, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. And 5 points in a day. And I'll tell you what, for all those folks who did jump on Calgary, -5, I'm jealous. Yeah, Calgary. 3 touchdowns sounds good to me. I like Calgary -3 touchdowns.
All right, and right now Calgary may be 3 touchdowns better than everybody in this league.
Yeah. Coming off the bye as well. Wow.
All right, next game, we got the Ottawa Red Blacks at Saskatchewan, Robert.
I'm going to go with Saskatchewan. I just think Saskatchewan just priming themselves to put themselves in a position to go into the playoffs and just be that. I like Ottawa a lot. I'm going to go with the upset in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I think this will be a good game, though, but I do think Saskatchewan's better on defense than what Ottawa is, and I think at the end that'll be the difference. I do think Trevor Harris is good enough to keep him in the game, to give him a chance, but I'm going to go with Saskatchewan also. Oz?
Here we go. The line says Saskatchewan by 3. That sounds about right. I'll take Saskatchewan by 3 at home.
All right, Brian?
I am going to be the contrarian here, and I'm going to go with Ottawa. I think any time with Trevor Harris, I think it gives them a great opportunity. I think they're, with him back, it puts them as being a dangerous team. And as much as I like Saskatchewan, I think Ottawa will win this game.
All right, now, Schmidt, obviously your word for today that you learned was contrarian because you used it on the first show a few times too. So.
Yeah, I got hit over the head today, and it seems to be the only word I can remember. So.
You're now the only person in Ohio that even knows what contrarian means.
Yeah, I know.
All right, next game. Next game, we got British Columbia Lions at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I'm going to take Winnipeg, bouncing back. They need a big performance. I think they'll get it here, Oz. What do you think?
I think so, too. And let's see. Yeah, we don't even have a line for this. Yeah, so Winnipeg should win this one big. I think BC's playing out the string.
All right, Brian?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Winnipeg. I think they will get themselves back to winning after the game in Hamilton last week.
All right, Robert?
As much as all you guys took Winnipeg, I'd love to go with BC. I got to take Winnipeg. They're going to get themselves back. They're going to get the ship, rewrite it and understand what they need to do to get into the playoffs and possibly get into the Grey Cup.
All right, Oz, maybe the most interesting matchup, just because what we've already talked about. We got Ricky Ray and the Toronto Argonauts going to Edmonton, take on Mike Riley and the Eskimos.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to take Toronto. I believe that I believe that they're 7-point underdogs. Look, they need, if they win and Ottawa loses, they clinch first place in the East. I think they want this win. You guys have been talking about motivation for a team. You guys have been talking about veteran presence. Okay. If Toronto has these things, they're going to win this game. And plus, I'm taking this just for sanity's sake because somebody has got to hold first place in the East for like a couple of weeks this year. So
well, I think Toronto's held it for a couple of weeks now, haven't they?
Have they? Oh my God!
Yeah, ever since Trevor Harris got hurt.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. No, I just think this is the week. I think they're gonna buckle down. They're gonna nail it down. And look, the truth is, Edmonton, as Robert was saying, Edmonton is faltering. Edmonton is probably psychologically faltering. They don't have the confidence. Look, they're 1-5 in their last 6 now because they beat Montreal. So Toronto is the hotter team right now. I'll take Toronto. I'll take them.
All right, Robert.
I'm going to go with Toronto also. Toronto has more to play for.
Ooh.
Brian?
I am going to agree and go with Toronto. They've got a lot to play for, and until Edmonton shows that they can beat somebody besides Montreal, I'm not sold on them yet.
All right. Well, I'm going to make it a clean sweep, so officially Edmonton's no longer the favorite. I'm going to go with Toronto also. I'm going to go with Ricky Ray and James Wilder. Same reason Brian said. I think Edmonton can be a dangerous team, but I'm not going to be convinced of it until maybe they pull this game out, maybe go to BC and win. Then I'll take it a little bit more seriously. So we all four agree on that final one. Guys, wrap up the show. Any final words, Brian?
Getting closer to playoff time, which is always an exciting time. So the races are heating up, but I'm looking forward to playoff time.
All right, Robert?
Just a safe and helpful, happy game for all the players. It's hope they get out. That's one thing I always do as a former player myself, just root for the safety of the players, just get out healthier every single game,
All right, very good. Oz?
I'm just sorry that my Alouettes are eliminated because this week we get the bye, and I think we can win that game. I think we got that one.
I'm taking the bye plus the points. Probably given the points. But all right, guys. I want to remind you guys, check out all of our sponsors, especially mybookie.ag. You go on to grulingtruth.net, find it, click the link, and hit a NFL picks or CFB picks and get a free 100% bonus. I want to remind everybody this weekend you can check out my NFL Legends show with former Jets great Wesley Walker. Of course, you guys are all CFL fans. We got some CFL Legends shows up there where we did an interview with, of course, our own Robert Drummond. Dieter Brock has been on there, great Winnipeg Blue Bomber quarterback. Former coach John Gregory, who won the '89 Grey Cup with Saskatchewan. We've got an interview on there with him. So make sure you check out that also. So for Brian Schmidt, Oz Davis, Robert Drummond, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.